This is Tony Gonzalez from Made in Metal, and today we are going to talk with the drummer, Gavin Harrison, who is the drummer in Pineapple Thief. Hello, Gavin. How are you?
Good. How are you? Very good.
Perfect. It's to me a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Yes, we are here because Pineapple Thief will release a new CD entitled It Leads to This. Tell me, Gavin, what can we find in this new CD?
The product of kind of 3 years of work, really, since we started writing this new record. I think it was at the end of 2019, actually. And we wrote, I think in all 12, 13 songs. And the ones that you see on the album, I think is 8 songs. They were the songs that we chose to represent the music that we felt worked together in this particular collection of songs for this album.
The first single was The Frost.
Mm.
When we listen to this song, the idea that comes about your playing style is elegance. So, and tell me, where your elegance is in playing drums come from?
Well, I guess, Tony, the last 40 years of drumming, I've always been attracted to drum patterns and drum design and drummers who design special rhythms for a song to try to make them unique, original, maybe, and look for a creative path that makes elegant sense of the design. It's a kind of rhythmic architecture, if you like. And I guess all the things that I've listened to in the last 40, 50 years that I thought were great stayed in my mind as a confirmation of what I believed was good design for the song, good design for the dynamics of the piece, and to have a good reflection of the way the song moves and the mood of the song. So I'm always trying to find a slightly different path than the most obvious thing you could play.
I think that part of this elegance is in the use of symbols. For example, like in Every Trace of Us. And tell me, Gavin, in general terms, how do you approach to a new song?
Yeah, well, I use the same method I always use, and that is to just look for inspiration in the song. Hopefully something in the song, in the lyrics, in the melody, in the bass line will inspire me to find, a unique, or certainly kind of less obvious rhythm that I can think of. Sometimes it comes very easy. Sometimes I can find it straight away. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 days. That particular song, Every Trace of Us, started with an idea of a little song I wrote maybe 15 years ago, just a bass line, a verse and a chorus and some drumming. And I played it to Bruce, and we started to develop that piece. So, I'm always just looking for the right part for the right song.
When I listen, for example, another beautiful melody, that is the song title, It Leads to This, I would like to ask you, did you record your drum parts alone, on your own, or you go to a studio with the band together? And in this case, what are the main differences between doing alone and doing with the band?
The whole album was recorded on my own. Unfortunately, in this band, we all live in different places in the country, so we rarely come together. So we all record remotely. There is good value in going to a studio and all playing together at the same time, but the logistics and the expense of doing that nowadays is very rarely justifiable, because you know, it just doesn't make sense to make records like that these days unless you have a very big budget or you're guaranteed to sell, you know, a lot, hundreds of thousands of albums. So the truth is, in today's world, you know, there isn't the budget to do that, and the time it would take to rehearse and get ready to go in a studio. There is a nice thing that can happen if you all play together at the same time, but it's very hard logistically to do that.
I think that the most complex song in terms of rhythm, maybe I'm wrong, is Every Trace of Us. Am I right? Tell me. If not, tell me about the most complex according to you.
Yeah, I think the hardest song to play is Rubicon, because it's got such an unusual rhythm to it. It's basically in 5, but it's in a shuffle. And when Bruce came to my studio 1 year ago, I had this concept of a rhythm. And I said to him, listen, I've got this idea of a rhythm which is in 5, but very unusually, it's in a shuffle. So it's all triplet based. And I got on the drums and I played this rhythm for Bruce, and we recorded a little bit, and he picked up the guitar and he started to play. And that was the first time that Bruce and I had written in the same room. So that was a unique thing. But yes, I think that is the hardest song to play. Actually, there's quite a few hard songs, but that one I think is the hardest.
It's interesting because I would like to know if, for example, Bruce give you, in this case, but in general terms, did they give you an open idea about playing, or they give you a strict rhythm that he wants in a song?
No, he never gives me a strict rhythm. I think the nice thing about having a collaboration is that we trust each other to do the right thing. I trust Bruce to write the right melodies and the right lyrics and the shape, and he trusts me to eventually find the right rhythm for the drums. Sometimes I change my mind, you know, sometimes I will record something and then the next day I will listen to it and think, no, that's not right. But when I present it to Bruce, he's always happy with whatever I give him. A perfect marriage.
It's really nice to hear that. Yes, yes, you are in Porcupine, no, sorry, in Pineapple Thief since 2017. And tell me, it was easy to share duties with King Crimson and Porcupine Tree and Pineapple Thief?
Yes, because most bands, or those 3 bands, we always know when we're going to tour at least 1 year before. So if I was already busy with King Crimson, or you know, later on with Porcupine Tree, it's very easy to find the right moment when we can tour or do something. They don't call me on Monday and say, hey, I need you on Friday.
No.
It's always with at least 1 year of planning. So there's never a problem of schedule clashing.
By the way, and now that we are talking about King Crimson, do you think that it will be King Crimson on tour again?
I don't know.
No, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Taking account you are watching this band from the inside, are there some differences in these 3 bands in terms of approaching the drum work, King Crimson, Porcupine Tree, and Pineapple Thief?
Well, not really, except with King Crimson, there's 3 drummers. So the difference would be that you need to very carefully consider what the 3 drummers are going to play, myself, Pat Mastalotto, and Jeremy Stacey. So quite often I would design some drum patterns for 3 drummers. I would record myself 3 times, and then I would send it to Jeremy and Pat, and then we would all get together in a room in London, and we would try some of the ideas, we would modify the ideas, we would change the ideas to come up with the best rhythmic solution for King Crimson. There's very little difference in my drumming approach between Porcupine Tree and Pineapple Thief. I always just try to find the best solution I can for each song.
Now that you tell me about this, tell me, how is working in a band with 3 drummers?
Nightmare. Well, it's very interesting because with difficulty comes opportunity. So, you know, you can do things with 3 drummers that obviously one drummer can't play. And we're 3 very different drummers with 3 very different kinds of drum set. So some things are more suited to Jeremy, some things are more suited to Pat, some things are more suited to me. So some songs we have a lead drummer, and then the other 2 play support roles. Sometimes the lead changes from one drummer to another drummer to another drummer. Sometimes there are moments for improvisation and we take turns, or sometimes there's a big drum fill and I will play the first part, Jeremy plays the second part, and Pat finishes it as the third part. Sometimes Jeremy plays keyboards and myself and Pat play a drum duo part. Pat has a lot of electronics and metallic percussion, industrial percussion. I have more of a traditional kind of drum set. I have a little bit of electronics. So every permutation that we could think of was applied to the way that we designed the drum parts for King Crimson. It was a really big challenge, and it took a lot of rehearsal and a lot of choreographing to get the 3 drummers to make a nice musical statement. You know, it's very easy to make a really big mess and a lot of chaos with 3 drummers. So that's what we were keen to avoid, and what we tried very hard to not play on top of each other, where the bass drums and snare drums were, you know, in the same moment. So sometimes it was like one drummer with 6 arms and 6 legs.
Sometimes drummers like you, the listener consider that you have more than 2 arms and 2 legs. Yes.
It's an illusion. Yeah.
Yes. So even it's the first time that we are talking, but it's not the first time that I listen your music. I knew you when you were playing with one of my favorite all-time bands, that is Incognito. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So please, Gavin, tell me about your experience with them and Paul Mowney.
Yes. Yeah, it was fantastic. This was 1990 when Bluey phoned me and invited me to join Incognito. And it was a great experience. The band was very, very good. Some of the guys I knew, some of the guys I didn't know. And it was really a good time. We went into a studio in London and recorded Inside Life, which was the record from 1990. And I think one of the songs, Always There, became quite a big hit.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I remember doing the shows. There was a lot of people in the band. There was a brass section, there was singers, percussionists, much bigger band than usual. So for Bluey, it was a, you know, logistical headache, but it always worked. And he's such a nice guy. His big personality, his big friendly smile always kept the band going.
In this band, you play Caribbean rhythm, soul, and now you are playing progressive rock, maybe progressive metal with other bands. Is there any musical style that you feel uncomfortable with?
Uncomfortable with? I
Yes,
think,
sorry, that is more difficult to you to approach
yeah,
music.
well, probably something I don't play hardly ever is Latin music, because I've understood very clearly you need to have it in your blood. You need to grow up listening to Latin music. I grew up listening to jazz music. I know how to authentically play jazz music and make it feel right, because I've had thousands and thousands of hours of listening to jazz. I didn't grow up listening to Latin music. I love Latin music. It sounds fantastic, but I know I would sound really fake in a Latin band because I didn't grow up with it in my blood. And I think some music, especially the feel, how to make the right feel it's the same with jazz. You need to have it in your blood. My father was a jazz musician. I grew up listening to jazz. I grew up playing jazz. So I know how to play jazz. I didn't grow up listening to Latin. I didn't grow up listening to metal either, actually.
About your solo career, recording as Gavin Harrison or Gavin Harrison or Phi Rick,
Mhm.
the name of the band. Does this story are past, or do you still consider that in the future you can take again this idea?
Oh, I mean, any previous thing that I did, it's possible to come back to. I think really, I only feel like I did two solo records. One was in the 90s called Sanity and Gravity.
Mm.
And the other one was 2015. I did a record called Cheating the Polygraph, which was like big band interpretations of Porcupine Tree songs. Okay, I did a collaboration with O5 Rick, and recently I've done a collaboration with Antoine Fafard. He is a Canadian-French bass player. And we have another record coming out. We did one in 2020 called Chemical Reactions. And now we have another record coming out. But these are really collaborations. It doesn't feel to me like a solo record. And I don't have a lot of ambitions to make a solo record. Even Cheating the Polygraph really was a collaboration between myself and the arranger, Lawrence Cottle, because he did all the brilliant work of the arrangements of those songs. So although it's my name, really it's a collaboration. And I like collaborations. I don't need to make records on my own.
Oh, yes. And for several times, you were working with Italian musicians like Claudio Baglioni, Franco Battiato. So it was a coincidence, or you were living in Italy?
Oh, no, I didn't live in Italy, but I spent many, many years there. It was just a piece of luck, which happened at the end of 1989. An Italian artist contacted me. She wanted me to play in her band because she had heard a record which I'd made called Dysrhythmia. And she wanted to invite the Dysrhythmia band to become her band for a tour. So we did that in 1989. And then her producer recommended me to another producer. And then suddenly I started getting lots of work and offers in Italy. So 89, 90, 91, I went to Italy a lot to make sessions, and some of them were quite successful records. And then 92, I got offered to play with Claudio Baglioni, and I worked with him for at least 12 years playing live. And I think I've played on the last, I don't know, 5 albums maybe.
When you play songs like this that are more simple than others, don't you feel tempted to make it more complicated? when you are playing live?
No,
No?
I like to do what's right for the music.
Hmm.
You know, in 1998, I started to play with Lisa Stansfield. It's really, you know, just R&B, funk, and you play what's right for the music. Okay, I enjoy playing just grooves. I really enjoy playing grooves, and the music needed just grooves. That was Lisa's music. I played straight grooves with Claudio Baglioni. That was that kind of music. I think with progressive music, you can, you know, go away from the normal straight path if you can find a good solution. Sometimes a straight groove is all the song needs. A song like It Leads to This, the drumming is very straight, and that seems like the right solution for the song to me. I'm more than happy of just playing a groove when it's necessary.
Yes, you have written several books about drums techniques, but tell me, are advanced techniques or for beginners?
Oh, they're probably more in the advanced area. The two books that I wrote in the 90s, Rhythmic Illusions, Rhythmic Perspectives, are really just concepts.
Hmm.
They're not kind of anything technical, playing fast, grip, you know, stickings. It was just about a concept of how you could change the perception of where the downbeat is and how you perceive and the tempo, and how you can alter those depending on the music and depending on what the audience are expecting. So they were two drum concept books. The books after that, I believe, were transcription books with my friend Terry Branham. He transcribed, I think, the first two albums that I did with O5 Rick, and then he did a transcription book of Porcupine Tree songs.
After recording almost or maybe more than 150 recordings with all kinds of musicians, is there a secret ambition, a new challenge in your career that you still want to reach?
Yes, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. I mean, I think that I think I play better now than I ever did, but I'm certainly not as young as I used to be. So really, the challenge is to keep the standard high, and whilst I still have the energy and the ideas, I want to keep recording and keep performing.
Is right what some people say that a drummer with your age, with technique, you can supply the strength of the hit, for example?
Oh yeah,
Yes?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the last 2 years I've been on tour with Porcupine Tree. That's really heavy playing. Yeah, I think a lot of it is mental more than the physical stamina of it. Yeah, you need to be in shape, but you need to be mentally prepared to play a 3-hour concert with heavy drumming, you know.
Yes. For example, I'm thinking of drummers like Ian Paice or Vinny and Carmine Appice that are in the maybe in the 70s, are older than you. If they can reach it, you can't.
Yes, that's good news.
Don't tell me. So, okay, perfect. Is there a tour to introduce this new record for the audience in Europe or America?
20th of February, the tour begins. Between 20th of February and March 16th, we're coming throughout Europe. Not every country. Maybe we can do another tour later to include some other countries. But the first tour, yes, we're coming through Europe to play It Leads to This album.
As you consider, those were my questions. If you want to say goodbye to the audience, this is your moment.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Tony. And thanks to anyone who's tuned in to watch this.
Thanks to you, Gavin. Thanks to you.